Hello! Today we're going to talk about net realizable value and using that as a method to allocate costs. We're also going to talk a little bit about whether or not we should process further or stop at the split-off point. So what we're talking about here, and the question that we're working on, is should we process the tomatoes at the split-off point, or should we actually process them further and achieve a higher selling price, and wondering whether or not that is a good idea. Now what we have is we have a joint cost here of $420,000. And we want to know how to allocate that to the ketchup, to the juice, and the canned. What amount will each of those three products pay for the $420,000? So let's get started. You've had a chance to look at the question, and I will work on part A with you today. Now the first part you have to take a look at is should we process further? And that is the first thing we have to take a look at. So for the ketchup, we can sell the ketchup at $6 per case at the split-off point. Or we can process it further. If we process it further, we can sell it for $28 per case and have an additional cost of $3. So if you take a look just purely at the ketchup alone, we can sell it for $28 if we process it further. Now originally, we could sell it for $6. So that's going to be an improvement of $22 per case. Now the additional cost of processing further is $3. So we're going to be $19 a head per case if we decide to do this. So absolutely, we should process this further. Let's look at the juice now. The juice, if we process further, we can sell at $25 a case. Originally, at the split-off point, we could sell the juice for $8. So we would be $17 a head on the selling price. Now the additional costs of processing further are $5. So we would be $12 a head. So yes, process further. Let's now look at the last one, canned. If we process the canned further, we would sell that at $7. Now the value at the split-off point was $5, so we would gain $2. The separable costs for processing further, $2.50 per case. So you can actually see here that we would lose money if we process further. So we would not process the canned further. And remember, we're doing a quantitative analysis here as we come up with our net realizable value. And we have to, of course, use this information to make good management decisions. And that's exactly what we're doing. So when you see a question like this, you have to first analyze and you have to ask, would we logically process further? And if we would, we include that information in our net realizable value calculation. If we wouldn't logically process further, then we will assume that we will sell the product at the split-off point. So what we do is when we now calculate our net realizable value calculations, ketchup and juice will be assumed to be processed further, whereas canned will not be processed further. So now let's complete this schedule. We have 100,000 cases of ketchup, a selling price of $28 per case. So our expected value for the ketchup is $2.8 million. Those separable costs, those additional costs that we had to use to basically process further were $3 per case. So $3 times 100,000 cases, 300,000. So our net value, our expected value less the separable costs, our net value, $2.5 million. Let's carry on with the juice now. The juice, 150,000 cases, $25 per case, $3,750,000. Processing further, $5 a case, 150,000 cases, 750,000. So our net value here, 3 million. Now the canned, again, based on our original analysis here, we are not going to process the canned further. We're going to sell the can at the split off point. So we are going to achieve $5 per case for our selling price, 200,000 cases. We'll have $1 million worth of expected value. Nothing here in separable costs. So our net value will be 1 million. And you put this together, you'll have 6.5 million of net value. And then what we want to do is we want to calculate what percentage then we can use for the ketchup, the juice, and the canned towards our joint cost. So 2.5 million over the total of 6.5 million implies then that for ketchup, 38.5% of the joint cost should be allocated to the ketchup product. If we did a similar calculation now for the juice and the canned, we would have 46.2% and 15.4% for the canned. And that's how we're going to allocate and come up with our percentage allocations towards our joint cost of $420,000. Now the question, and this is where you have to read the question really carefully. You're not finished yet. It asks you to compute the cost per case for each product. So that's what we have to do over here on this next schedule, is that we got to come up with what was our cost for these products. So the first thing, the joint costs allocated. We've got $420,000 of joint costs that we need to allocate. So in our first calculation here, 38.5% is the amount that we attributed to the ketchup. So 38.5% times 420,000, that'll be equal to 161,538. For the juice, 46.2% times 420,000, that'll be equal to 193,846. And a similar calculation will give you 64,615 for the canned. Now, one of the things that students will forget is that that's not the end of your costs. You also have to include your separable costs here. Your separable costs for the ketchup, 300,000. Your separable costs for the juice, 750,000. What were the separable costs for the canned? Nothing. Remember, we didn't go any further. So now we have our product costs. So we have our total product costs of 461,538 for the ketchup. We will have 943,846 for the juice. We will have 64,615 for the canned, for a total of 1,470,000. And that's our total product costs. And again, remember, we're not done yet. We have to figure out, and it's highlighted in bold there, the cost per case for each product. So our cost per case for the ketchup will be 461,538 divided by the number of cases. And for ketchup, we had 100,000 cases. So our cost per case per ketchup, $4.62. For the juice, $6.29. And for our canned, 0.32. That's it. That's the answer for part A. Anyways, thank you.